In a typical Hogwarts Quidditch season, each team plays 3 matches, and Hogwarts students usually spend 7 years at the school, meaning each student has the opportunity to represent their house team in up to 21 matches, which makes it pretty surprising that Harry Potter himself only ever played in 9 Quidditch matches throughout the series. Of course, as we know, there are a number of reasons for Harry missing over half of his Gryffindor Quidditch career, including cancellations, suspensions, injuries, a Triwizard tournament, and even just skipping his last school year to go and fight Lord Voldemort. But how come if Harry managed to miss more matches than he actually played in, he's still looked at as one of the best Quidditch players Hogwarts has seen in its modern history? Well, I'm going to try and investigate this. Today, I'm going to look at the 9 Quidditch matches Harry played for Gryffindor and rank them from worst to best based on Harry's performance. So as always, before we get into this, please do drop a like on the video and most importantly, hit subscribe. But without further ado, let's get the list started with number 9, Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff from the Half-Blood Prince. So throughout the books, Harry only loses 2 Quidditch matches, and spoiler alert, those 2 matches will take up the first 2 spots on this list. And up first as the worst match Harry ever plays in is actually his last ever Quidditch match. Talk about going out without a bang, Harry. You see, Quidditch wise, Harry had a tough year in the Half-Blood Prince, mainly because he was made Gryffindor Quidditch captain. And it's really surprising because throughout the series, Harry shows many signs of being a great leader. Just not in Quidditch, he just can't hack it. And in this match specifically, his big mistake is choosing who should replace Ron, who was meant to be his keeper, but misses the game because of the poison mead incident with Slughorn. In the end, Harry just goes with the guy who performed the second best in the original trial, which was Cormac McLaggen, despite the fact he didn't trust Cormac or like him at all. Now, what I think most good captains would do in this scenario is just try and hold an emergency retrial and find someone who can just fill in as a keeper for a game that you can at least trust a little bit, even if they're not that good. But Harry just picks Cormac McLaggen anyway, and McLaggen costs him this game. McLaggen, despite being in goal, steals a beater's bat off one of the Gryffindor beaters, smacks a bludger at Harry, knocks him out, and then Gryffindor go on to lose the match. It's not necessarily the worst performance Quidditch-wise from Harry, but because it's such a disastrous captain's performance, it's definitely the lowest point of his Quidditch career. In 8th, we've got Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff in The Prisoner of Azkaban. So as you can tell, Harry clearly did not enjoy playing Hufflepuff in Quidditch as much as the other houses, because this is his second and only other loss in his Gryffindor Quidditch career. However, the reason this is not as bad as the other one on this list already is because it really wasn't his fault. In fact, in this match, Harry doesn't even fly too badly. He's neck and neck with Cedric, going for the snitch, when, as we all know, the Dementors turn up, Harry falls off his broom gets destroyed, and Cedric inadvertently wins the match, although he does try and reverse the decision afterwards. But if we're being honest, if we're ranking Harry's Quidditch career and he plays 9 matches and loses 2, the 2 matches he lost were always going to be at the bottom of the list. Even though this one isn't really on him, it's still a massive disappointment. But fair play to Harry, it does trigger him to go and actually learn how to fight against Dementors, so to be fair, even though he does lose this, Gryffindor also go on to win the Quidditch Cup this year anyway, so it's not the end of the world. It's just a disappointing loss. In 7th place is Gryffindor versus Slytherin from the Half-Blood Prince. So from this point onwards, every match included on this list, Harry wins. So it's more about analysing his actual performance than the result of the match. And this is Harry's only other match as Gryffindor captain on the list. So the reason this match is bottom of the matches that Harry actually wins is because he lets his captaincy distract him and almost cost him the match. This is probably the closest Harry comes to actually just being straight beaten in a race. You see, towards the end of the match, Slytherin's stand-in seeker, Harper, is closing in on the snitch, and Harry doesn't even realise until the very last second. Harry then chases him down, and to be honest, maybe he wouldn't have even caught up if it weren't for the fact he had an extremely superior broom. Even then, Harry still can't catch up, and he relies on just taunting Harper. He shouts out, "How much did Malfoy pay you to come on instead of him?" Which leads to Harper fumbling the snitch, and Harry manages to just about win the game for Gryffindor. And whilst it was quick thinking from Harry, this is the first time where, to be honest, he genuinely could have just been beaten. And it's more down to a combination of he had a quick enough broom to catch up and erase his mistake, but also Slytherin had an inexperienced and not very good seeker. If that had been Draco Malfoy, who actually isn't the best seeker in the world if you go back through the series, I still think Draco would have actually beaten Harry in that scenario. So not the best performance. Up next is Gryffindor versus Slytherin from the Order of the Phoenix. Okay, let's go through this one pretty quickly because this basically just starts a little run of Harry wins matches because he's a good seeker, but mainly because he's just got a better broom than everybody else. The main story of this match is the Slytherin fans chanting at Ron because he's a new and not very good keeper, but thankfully Harry bails out Ron by seeing the snitch at a similar time to Draco Malfoy. They both race for it and Harry is just about quicker to reach it first. I will give Harry credit, as I said before, I don't actually think Draco is the best seeker in the world, so I do think Harry's genuine skill always comes into play. He is a very, very good seeker, but there's no doubt that having the best broom out there is giving him an advantage every time. So why have I gone so low down with this one on the list then? Well, because there are quite a few matches that go similarly to this that we're going to discuss in a minute, but it's more what Harry does after this match. This is where Malfoy taunts the Gryffindor team after, and Harry and Fred specifically go and beat him up and are given lifetime Quidditch bans from Dolores Umbridge. Now, is this really reflective of Harry's Quidditch abilities? No, but when we're analysing Harry's Quidditch career, this then costs him 2 matches because he misses the rest of this year. So it's really not great. Up next, Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw from the Prisoner of Azkaban. So here we go, this is just a pretty generic, Harry is good at Quidditch and has a really good broom, so wins lol. Harry's up against Cho Chang as a seeker, who is a good competitor against him, but clearly not to his level. Harry pulls out a really good feint, pretending he's seen the snitch to trick Cho, then actually sees the snitch, races off and manages to catch it first. It's genuinely good strategy from Harry, and this is an example of him using his superior broom to his advantage. Realistically, as long as he sees the snitch first and sets off chasing it first and is in a better position, you're not going to beat him. There is a little bit of stupidity on Harry's behalf here because he does think he's being attacked by Dementors again, so cast a Patronus charm, but it just turns out to be Malfoy and his cronies. But hey, he casts a successful Patronus and wins the match. It's just all in all a great performance. Well done, Harry. In 4th place is Gryffindor versus Slytherin from the Prisoner of Azkaban. Okay, so if you can't already tell, the top 3 remaining matches are all from before Harry gets his Firebolt. Because I do think in general his performances with the Nimbus 2000 are more impressive. Not only at that point is he a more inexperienced player, he also has a lot of things going against him in those early matches, which we'll get to. And of course the big one at that point, he doesn't always have the most superior broom. However, whilst in this match he does have the Firebolt, it's also potentially the most pressurized match of his career. This is the chance to finally win the Quidditch Cup. The match is extremely scrappy, there's penalties being given out left, right and centre with Slytherin players fouling Gryffindor all over the pitch, and Draco is doing literally anything he possibly can to stop Harry getting the snitch before him. Similarly in this match to others we've spoken about, Draco actually spots the snitch before Harry, and in this scenario it is outright said in the book that the Firebolt speed is the only reason he catches Draco. And he does manage to catch, overtake Draco and get the snitch and win Gryffindor the cup. And whilst yes, his broom has given him a serious advantage, I still think, do you know what? All the pressure of the house was on him. He was also given about triple the amount of pressure because it was Oliver Wood's last attempt at winning the cup, and trust me, he wanted to win that cup. But this was a very important match. I mean, considering the fact that Harry is seen as one of the greatest Quidditch players Hogwarts might have seen, this is the only time he gets to lift the Quidditch Cup. And I always love going back through this game in a reread because, as I said in my last video where I gave out some controversial Harry Potter opinions, a lot of the time Quidditch is just used as a plot device. But this is maybe the one match where it's just like, do you know what? No. Let's just give them the win. Let's just give Harry a nice moment. Let's just put Harry in everybody's good books for a bit. It genuinely is great stuff. In 3rd place is Gryffindor versus Slytherin from the Philosopher's Stone. Okay, here we are kicking off the top 3 with Harry's debut match, and wow, what a performance. To be honest, all the performances from this point onwards are pretty special. It was hard to put them in a good order. Now let's just run through the reasons why this performance was so great. Obviously it's Harry's first ever match. He's a first year, which is incredibly rare for him to have even gotten onto the team, let alone go on to be his team's hero in the match. He's also up against the rival house who will do anything it takes to stop him from winning. But perhaps the most important thing is, of course, Professor Quirrell literally tries to kill him during this match, and not only does he survive, but he still goes on to catch the snitch. Of course, we've got to give a bit of credit in there to both Hermione and Professor Snape for the assist, but Still well done, Harry. Overall, this was the perfect way to kickstart Harry's Quidditch career. However, there are a couple of caveats, which is the reason it's not higher. Number one, I've already spoken quite a bit about broomsticks and Harry being on a superior broom. Of course, at this point, even though he didn't have the Firebolt, he did have the Nimbus 2000. It was his first match with it, and nobody else had a broom of that level. So, whilst he didn't have the advantage he'll go on to have later on, he still was at an advantage. And then the big one, and maybe this is me being a bit too harsh, but obviously he did catch the snitch in his mouth, which, depending on how you want to look at it, is either really impressive, but also it's a little bit lucky. It's not quite as impressive as when he catches it with his hand, in my opinion, because it's less intentional, but that is me being really harsh. Overall, a fantastic performance, but I think the next two trump it. In second place is Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff from the Philosopher's Stone. Okay, let's follow on with his second match, and in my opinion, this one is even more impressive, but I think it goes under the radar because A, it's very short, and B, it's not in the movie. In this match, we hear that Severus Snape is going to be taking the place of Madam Hooch as the referee, which, to be fair, is pretty scary for Harry because at this point, they all assume he's the one trying to steal the Philosopher's Stone and probably just try to kill Harry in the last match. Of course, we know that's not the case, but I'm sure it was pretty distracting for Harry when he was just trying to get on with his Quidditch. There is the consolation that Dumbledore is there in the crowd, which helps, but even so, you'd be pretty worried. But no, the reason this one is so impressive is because Wood basically tells Harry, look, Snape is going to be a biased ref, let's just catch the snitch and get things over and done with, and Harry does it. He catches the snitch within 5 minutes. It's just an incredibly impressive performance. And there honestly isn't much more to say than that. We don't get too much detail from this match. Harry just catches the snitch first, which, considering, as I've already said, most of the other matches throughout the series have little bits here and there that happen, moments where you'd maybe say Harry got a little bit lucky or got distracted. The fact he just gets on with it, does what his captain wants, wins his team the match, and saves us from any of the drama is extremely good. And finally, in first place is Gryffindor versus Slytherin from the Chamber of Secrets. I mean, how could this one not come in first place? Harry, once again, is up against his arch rivals, but this time even worse because his arch nemesis Draco Malfoy himself is up against him as his opposition seeker. What Harry is already expecting to be a tough game of Quidditch becomes even tougher when he realises a bludger, a dangerous flying ball trying to knock him off his broomstick, has been bewitched to just follow him for the entire match. Not only does he stand up to his teammates and say, look, I've got this, let me deal with it, and he does deal with it. He can avoid the bludger, he spins around, does loads of great moves to get away from it, but he even goes on to win the match as well. You think that's all I've got to say about it? No, it's not, because for once, Harry is not on the superior broom. He's still on his Nimbus 2000 at this point, but the whole Slytherin team have been bought Nimbus 2001s by Lucius Malfoy. And finally, just to put the cherry on top, not only does Harry catch the snitch first and win Gryffindor the match, he does it with a broken hand. This is the most OP Quidditch performance you will probably ever see, and it comes from a 12-year-old. And that's my list. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Please do hit subscribe. We are still on that road to 2,000 subscribers. Check out my TikTok, linked in the bio, for daily Harry Potter content and live streams, which have just returned. Comment below what video would you like to see next, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.